Hello and welcome to Raven's Arcana. I am Raven. Hope everyone's hanging in there and doing well. And we're going to perform a chakra tarot reading. So we have our root, our sacral, our solar, our heart, our throat, our third eye, and our crown. And we're going to pull some cards for each one of these chakras to see what we need to either remain focused on, start to focus on, so we can either maintain balance or gain balance in each and every one of these chakras. So we'll do a quick shuffle here and get down and dirty. All right. And so I'm going to lay out all the cards and then we'll go through once we have one card beneath each one of the chakras. So we have the Empress for our root chakra. We have the Seven of Pentacles for our sacral chakra. We have the Queen of Wands for our solar plexus chakra. We have the Moon for our heart chakra. We have the Four of Wands for our throat chakra. We have the Hermit for our third eye. And finally, we have the Knight of Cups for our crown chakra. Let my OCD take over just for a second here and get these cards a little bit more spread out and visually appealing. And all right, let's start with our root chakra. So with the Empress, we're talking about that divine feminine energy within us. Love, pleasure, sensuality. And with our root chakra, that is finding love within ourselves, finding love within the world, being compassionate, being thoughtful, finding joy, feeling our hearts, right? That Venus energy with love for ourselves, being kind to ourselves and kind to other people. So if we're not doing that, if we're not essentially really realizing the majesty of our existence here and our environment, then it's hard for us to remain grounded with our root chakra. So if we're not doing that, we need to focus on that aspect of our being. With our sacral chakra, we have the Seven of Pentacles, our pleasure and our desire center. What we really want, what feeds our soul. And it looks like with the Seven of Pentacles here, we've been putting some work in, we've been kind of waiting to figure out what we really want, right? And it takes some digging, it takes some introspection, it takes with every passing year, the older we get, our needs, our wants, our desires are probably going to change what we want to get out of life. And you see the gentleman here in the Seven of Pentacles, the figure, he's invested. He's having faith that his hard work is going to bear fruit. Now, what that means for our sacral chakra is that we're working through things within us to figure out what we really need, what we really want, what brings us pleasure. And I'll pull some cards for clarification on the bottom once we go through the first layout here. So with our solar plexus, it's that bravery, that courage, that willpower to continue, to embrace new things and the world and people. So with the Queen of Wands here, that's that ultimate passion center, right? You have to be passionate about everything you undertake. You have to make sure that you have that fire in your gut that drives you forward, right? So if we have to be brave and courageous, then we have to have something pushing us forward. And this is speaking to that divine spark within you, right? It requires the energy to see the goal, to have that vision, that foresight, to push forward, to have the courage, the bravery, right? So be mindful of that. Maintain your passion. And as we're aligning these, or attempting to figure out how to either keep them aligned or get them into balance, the story so far is being told that it's all about love, compassion. It's all about putting in the work, figuring out what you want, maintaining your passion for life. When you are about to do something, make sure you put forth all of that effort that comes from that center of your energy to drive what fills you with pleasure in a loving way. Now, with the heart, we have the moon. And the moon can be your dreams. It could be illusion, delusion. It could be getting distracted on either side of the path and balancing things so you can stay centered, as the heart is the center of all of our chakras. And also trusting your gut, trusting that passion center. And with the heart, we want to come from a loving place that grounds us, that is compassionate, that is caring. We know that we're looking for things that feed our desires. And when we figure that out, it takes a little bit of courage to move forward, right? To keep that all and keep it in your heart. Don't be swayed by things that are false. Don't be pulled to one side by people that don't really invest, if we're talking about pleasure, desires, wants, needs. Be careful with your heart about people that aren't on the same level. They don't want to get the same out of a relationship that you do. Stay focused. Now, we talk about the heart not being logical and tied to reason because it is your emotions. But you still have to be perceptive. You still have to be that queen as you're embarking, as you're about to take on the world. You have to be perceptive about all that passion you have inside of you and make sure that you're sharing that with others that are on the same level. Now, with our throat chakra, we have the Four of Wands. And the Four of Wands is union. And if we're talking about friendships, relationships, family members, other people, and how we're interacting, we want people, once again, we want to communicate. We want to emote exactly how we feel, exactly what we want, in a loving manner, with compassion, with kindness, so we can figure out if those people meet our needs, our desires, if it's romantic, if they bring us pleasure, if they have the same passion within them and willpower and drive. You don't want someone on the other end of a relationship, whether it's a friend or a family member, a colleague, or a romantic partner, not to come to the center and be on the same level. You don't want a lazy friend. You don't want to give, and all they do is take. And that is true for all relationships. So make sure you are communicating and emoting and projecting in a way your expectations of a union, a compromise. And by compromise, you're not compromising parts of yourself. You're finding someone that fits in there. There's always compromise when you go into a relationship. It is give and take. It is balance. And make sure you're communicating that and showing your emotions. Now with the third eye, hilariously, we have the hermit. And so that intuition is telling us that third eye chakra, our wisdom, we might have been fooled in the past. Illusion and delusion with our heart. We really have to dig deep and go in. And this doesn't have to be a dark night of the soul where you have to reinvent yourself. But you have to analyze situations. You have to use your intuition and wisdom you've gained through your experiences throughout your whole life on who to bring to the table, if you will. Who to bring into your home, which is your heart, which takes bravery and courage to open up to people, to bring them into your inner circle and figure out if you're going to invest time in them and they're going to fulfill your desires, your needs, whether it be friendly, romantic, you know. And then with the Knight of Cups, with our crown chakra, this is about emotion. I mean, movement, right? So movement with bringing new people in, continuing to invest your time with people. And as we talk about the crown chakra, we want someone that spiritually balances us. And people get turned off by the word spiritually. Like it's somehow tied to religion, woo-woo, all this stuff. No, it's your connection to the universe, to everything else that is out there. Where do we come from? Why am I here? You want to have people in your life that have that same philosophical thought, that realize that there's something bigger than us out there. We're connected to everything. There's information, there's energy out there that we can access and feed into all this, feed into our pleasure centers, make us want, have that willpower to go get it, go find it. Fill our heart with joy, with that love, with that compassion, with that kindness, and have relationships that make sense for us and for the other person. We don't want to be on the other end of that where we're just taking. We're just sucking energy from them and we never give anything back. That flow of information, that communication with the throat chakra, it's not just about talking. It's about communication and an exchange. And the hermit with the, the third eye, that's making sure we remember what we have learned along the way. Making sure that we are using our intuition. When we have those quick thoughts that jump in, are we analyzing the situation? And the Knight of Cups for the crown chakra, we want to open up and balance out our root chakra with that love. And the Knight of Cups is slow moving. You don't typically find the love of your life or know that's the love of your life in one day, in 1 week, in a month. You don't become instant friends typically over one night. Now, you can have that connection and develop the friendship, but it takes a lot of time. It takes investing, your time and effort to figure out if they balance out your needs, your wants, your desires. Let's get some clarification on this. So with the root chakra, we have the Empress, which is that divine feminine, that love, that beauty, sexuality, sensuality, loving, caring, compassionate, kindness. And then we have the High Priestess under there. So yeah, absolutely use your intuition. And what will ground you is having that balance, the black and the white. Knowing that you are an individual, but you are also part of the collective. You are also part of your friendships, your romantic relationships, your family connections. And tying in that wisdom and that knowledge to remain grounded, to remain loving, caring, compassionate, kind. And with your sacral chakra, absolutely, we have the world. Our needs, our wants, our pleasures come from the external. When we find joy, when we find happiness, we find love, we laugh, it's something that is occurring that we're either consuming, observing, or partaking in the world that is outside of us, that fills our pleasure center. So being mindful of how we invest our time. Are we feeding those needs, those wants, those desires in the world? And with the World card, there's a lot of rules, right? Timing is key. But we need to be able to navigate and to invest our time wisely with people and with events, right? This is leading into a relationship, it doesn't have to be romantic. But we are social beings. With our solar plexus chakra, we had the Queen of Wands up there, right? That divine passionate spark in us. Having the courage, the bravery. And we have to have the courage or bravery. We know that sometimes things end. Sometimes there are cycles with the Ten of Swords. Sometimes we fail, but we start over. So knowing that essentially everything, I don't want to say is a test, but if you're putting forth effort, if you're putting your heart into something, if you have emotions and thoughts and your whole being involved in everything you do, you're not going to win every time. You're not going to get the girl, the boy every time. You're not going to maintain relationships. People move away. People change. And this is the realization that even though, as we talk about wisdom and intuition, we know that nothing typically lasts forever. Hopefully your marriages and your relationships and things like that do, but only a handful of that does. So even though you know some things might be in the moment, won't last forever, you're on borrowed time, limited time, whatever, having the courage to move forward and still do things like that feed your desires, your needs, your wants, continuing on is important. And underneath the heart, we have, of course, we had the moon with, the possible delusion, staying focused, being mindful of our heart. I mean, we can get our heart broken, but we want to love unconditionally. Underneath that delusion, distraction, sometimes taking us off our path, we have the devil, being mindful of things that do take us off our path. Do people come into our lives that we actually love on a different level and they want something else from us? Or they're not giving the same level of energy that we are giving. They're taking more than they give. And that could be heartbreaking. And you want to love unconditionally. I love that came underneath there. And I love that the High Priestess came under the Empress too. Now with our throat chakra here, how we communicate, how we emote, how we exchange energy, we have the Four of Wands. We want a union. We want someone to come and complete us so it's whole in a relationship, right? We want to be honest. We have the Seven of Swords under here. We want to be upfront and honest. We don't want to, we don't want to be deceptive. We don't want to be passive aggressive. We don't want to hide the truth by not speaking it. We want to express how we feel about everything all the time. Now we can, based on previous experiences, based on, some endings of relationships, based on getting taken off our path, based on heartbreak sometimes. And obviously heartbreak occurs with friends, family members, everyone. It doesn't have to be romantic. We want to be honest, and we want to surround people with us that are honest, that are not deceptive, that communicate in an accurate way. We don't want to leave out details. We don't want people to leave out details with us either. We want to know the whole story. So pay attention, and we'll get into the intuition right now. So with your third eye chakra, we talked about always being able to go internally and pull out memories, pull out experiences. One, because that's your wisdom you gain from everything you've gone through in your life. Two, tapping into that intuition where you get a feeling, you get a thought, and it's quicker than you creating it. Typically, you can tell when something's off or something's on. With that Page of Wands, that is telling you that when you take action, absolutely, you want to be passionate. You want to be loving, compassionate. You want to be pure. You want to invest your time with people that become fruitful relationships or continue to be fruitful relationships. This is telling you to be cautious of jumping the gun, jumping in too fast, having that childlike action and behavior with your passion. It takes a lot of strength, a lot of courage, a lot of willpower to pull someone into your inner circle, into your life. Share, your being with them. give them information about yourself and how you feel and what you think, what you're all about, that you don't typically share a lot with people that aren't in your inner circle. So trust your intuition, trust your past experiences. Don't jump in and just spill the beans. Open up your heart to someone just because you have that, that need. They might fill your pleasure centers, but you might need them, you might just want them. You're doing all this work, don't go in foolishly, right? The pages have that childlike, and especially the Page of Wands doesn't use a whole lot of logic and reason. They just go in, with their heart. But we need to balance all of this stuff. We need to make sure that we're paying attention to everything. And with our crown chakra and balancing our grounding to the external, to the universe, to spirit, we wanted to make sure we're taking the time. It's slow moving. We're accessing information. We're connecting with people that balance us out, that makes sense. And we want to make sure with the Ace of Cups that we're using that intuition, we're communicating, emoting correctly, so are they. Our heart's in it, their heart's in it. We have that bravery and that courage to move on, even though we might know that this won't be forever. We've been hurt in the past. Things end. There are cycles in life. And, making sure they feed into our needs, wants, desires, and keep us grounded, keep us loving and compassionate. But that potential, right? There's potential. There's people out there. And I think this is what, with that crown chakra right next to the intuition center, knowing that if you feel left out, if you feel lonely, if you feel like there's no one that completes you on a friendly level, you can't communicate, or pull in people into your inner circle, or romantically, that makes sense. There's always that potential out there. Now be mindful of all this stuff down here. Don't jump the gun. Don't just dive in without working through everything. But this consciousness, being conscious of slow movement, developing everything, maintaining the loving manner, and bringing that into new relationships, right? Those potential relationships, those meetings you have where you meet someone and like, oh my gosh, don't let that distract you. Don't let new energy distract you because it's powerful. Being conscious of that is important, right? You don't want to, for some reason, and I don't like talking about drugs, but like you have this new drug comes in and you get a high off of it. And this is just an example. I don't do drugs, but you have something, love can be a drug. That new love, that new energy, that new friendship comes in, it just sparks everything, right? You're just like, oh, I'm so excited. Can't wait to hang out with them again. Can't wait to see them. But you don't want to be an addict. You don't want to let that energy overwhelm you where you're not using your intuition. You're not really speaking from the heart. Sometimes it's too easy, which can go back to deception, which doesn't have to be intentional. It could just be an illusion. And you don't want to spend a lot of time on that because it's not in the end going to really fit into your pleasure center. It's going to end like this with the Ten of Swords. And then all this gets out of whack, right? All right, well, that was a really long reading. But I appreciate you hanging out, sticking around for it. If you like the video, please give it a like. If you enjoy the content and you're not subscribed, you can always subscribe. And other than that, yeah, take care of yourself and have a good day.